Ladies and gentlemen, if there's one skill that separates successful people from the rest, it's this. They master the art of setting goals. In the world of personal achievement and success, few principles are as universally effective and as consistently ignored as the principle of clarity. The truth is simple. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. Yet, most people go through life with only a vague idea of what they want. They speak in generalities, they dream in fuzzy pictures, and then they wonder why they're stuck, drifting, or constantly waiting for the right time. The most successful people in the world, across industries, backgrounds, and disciplines, all have one thing in common. They know exactly what they want. Not kind of, not maybe, not a someday. They are ruthlessly specific. And this specificity becomes a superpower, because clarity is power. Because clarity is power. When you are clear about your goals, your vision, your priorities, and your values, your life begins to take shape with purpose and direction. Your energy is no longer scattered. Your mind becomes focused. Your decision-making improves. And your confidence grows because you know what you're working toward. Let's break this down. Imagine you're handed a bow and arrow and told to hit a target, but the lights are off. You can't see the bullseye. That's how most people approach their goals. Either goal. They're aiming in the dark, hoping something sticks. Now imagine someone switches on the lights. You can see the target clearly. Suddenly everything changes. Your aim improves. Your focus sharpens. You know what to adjust. That's the power of clarity. Clarity begins with defining exactly what you want. Not, oh, I want to lose weight, but I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 60 days by exercising 5 times a week and eating clean. Not, I want to be successful, but I want to earn $100,000 a year doing graphic design for high-end clients by December 31st. Vague goals create vague results. Create vague results. Clear goals light up your path. There's something powerful that happens when you name your target. The human brain is a goal-seeking mechanism. Once it has a clear objective, it begins to work, consciously and subconsciously, to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You start seeing opportunities you missed before. You begin attracting the right people and resources. Not because they magically appeared, but because your mind is finely tuned to notice them. This is why clarity isn't optional. It's foundational. Without it, you'll waste time, energy, and money chasing distraction. You'll say yes to things that don't matter and no to things that could change your life because you haven't taken the time to define what your life is supposed to look like. Clarity also gives you emotional power. When you know what you want and why you want it, setbacks don't shake you the same way. Distractions lose their pull. Criticism doesn't carry as much weight. You become emotionally anchored because your purpose is bigger than your problems. Every decision you face becomes simpler because the question isn't a do I feel like it? It's a does this move me closer to my goal? But clarity doesn't happen by accident. It's something you create intentionally. It comes from reflection, self-honesty, and writing things down. One of the fastest ways to gain clarity is to sit down with a blank sheet of paper and ask yourself, well, what do I want exactly? Then keep writing until the answers become sharp and specific. Keep asking follow-up questions. What does it look like? What does it feel like? How will I know when I've arrived? Clarity multiplies effectiveness. It turns ordinary people into high performers. It transforms random activity into strategic action. It makes your vision real. Your time becomes more valuable. Your habits become more aligned. You stop chasing and start building. You stop reacting and start leading. Clarity is not a luxury. It's the starting line for everything meaningful you will ever do. If you want to turn your dreams into goals and your goals into results, there's one habit you must build immediately. Write it down. Not type it, not think about it, not talk about it. Write it. On paper. In ink. With intention. Writing down your goals is more than a feel-good ritual. It's a psychological and neurological commitment. The act of writing activates multiple regions of your brain. Your logic center, your creative center, your memory, and your emotional core. When you write something by hand, you engage with it in a deeper, more meaningful way. You're not just thinking about the goal, you're encoding it. Most people never take this step. They keep their goals vague and floating somewhere in their heads like mental post-it notes that get buried under 1,000 other thoughts. But the moment you write your goal down, you give it form. You give it form. You give it weight. It goes from being a wish or a fantasy to a specific, tangible target. Writing down your goals forces clarity. When you try to put your goal into words, you quickly realize whether you're serious or not. You discover if you've been vague or lazy in your thinking. Writing demands specificity. You can't write, "I want to be better," and stop there. You have to ask yourself, better at what? By when? How will I measure it? That process sharpens your focus. It pushes you to define the path. There's another powerful thing that happens when you write down your goals. It creates commitment. You're no longer just thinking about what you might do someday. Studies on goal achievement show again and again that people who write down their goals are exponentially more likely to achieve them, not slightly. Exponentially. One famous study found that people who simply wrote their goals down were 42% more likely to achieve them. And when those written goals were revisited and reviewed regularly, the success rate shot even higher. Writing also gives you something to come back to. When life gets busy, distractions multiply, and motivation fades, your written goals serve as your compass. They remind you of what matters. They keep you anchored. On the days when you feel lost or overwhelmed, you don't need to guess what to do. You just look at what you've already committed to on paper. Don't underestimate the power of repetition either. The more you write and rewrite your goals, the more deeply they become embedded in your subconscious mind. Your brain starts filtering your decisions and actions through the lens of those goals. You begin to notice ideas, connections, and opportunities that align with what you've written, things you might have missed entirely before. Writing also strengthens belief. When you see your goals written clearly, when you revisit them often, you begin to feel that they are not only possible but inevitable. The page becomes a mirror of your potential. The more you see it, the more you see it, the more you believe it. The more you believe it, the more you act on it. And the more you act, the more momentum you create. It doesn't matter how simple your notebook is. It doesn't matter if your handwriting is messy or your grammar isn't perfect. This is not about impressing anyone. This is about giving your goals a physical form in the real world. Putting them on paper forces you to think clearly, act decisively, and stay accountable. The page becomes your private contract with yourself, and the ink is your commitment. Every goal needs a structure, a container, a sense of urgency, borgency. Without it, you're left with an open-ended intention that drifts from day to day, month to month, year to year. That container is called a deadline. It's the invisible engine behind all achievement. A goal without a deadline is just a vague idea. But the moment you set a clear deadline, everything changes. It turns the invisible into the actionable. Deadlines are more than time limits. They are psychological tools that trigger focus, discipline, and forward motion. The mind responds to deadlines. You've seen this in your own life. When a project is due in a week, you procrastinate. But when it's due tomorrow, suddenly your energy spikes, your distractions fall away, and your productivity triples. The deadline flipped the switch. When you set a deadline on a goal, you move it out of the realm of someday and into the realm of now. You assign it priority. You tell your mind that this matters. You create pressure, not the kind that breaks you, but the kind that builds diamonds. That pressure is what turns lazy intentions into purposeful action. One of the biggest reasons people fail to reach their goals is because they never put a date on them. They say things like, "I want to get in shape," or "I want to start a business," or "I want to write a book," but they never decide when. As a result, they never start. They wait for the perfect time. They tinker. They delay. Years go by, and the goal still lives in their imagination instead of their reality. But a deadline fixes that. It forces a decision. It creates a line in the sand. It makes you say, "By this date, I will have done this thing." That one move gives your goal structure. And once you have a structure, you can create a plan. You can work backward from the deadline and ask yourself, what needs to be done by next month? What needs to happen this week? What can I do today to get closer? Setting deadlines also boosts accountability. When the clock is ticking, you feel responsible to act. Time becomes a resource you manage, not something you waste. You become more conscious of how you spend your days. You stop waiting for motivation, and you start using time as a driver. You measure progress not by how you feel, but by how close you are to the finish line. Even if you don't hit the exact date, the deadline still serves you. Some people avoid deadlines because they're afraid of failure. But missing a deadline by a little is not failure. It's feedback. It shows you what needs adjusting. It shows you how close you are. Without a deadline, there's no feedback, no urgency, no way to measure growth. Not all deadlines are created equal. Some are short-term, 30 days, 90 days, 1 year. Others stretch longer, 3 years, 5 years. Both are valuable. Valuable. Short-term deadlines create quick wins and momentum. Long-term deadlines keep your vision alive and give you something to aim at over time. The key is to link them. Use the long-term deadline to define the destination. Use short-term deadlines to build the road to it. Write your deadlines down. Make them visible. Put them where you can see them daily. Let the pressure remind you that time is passing, that every day counts, that progress is your responsibility. The simple act of giving your goal a due date can unlock energy, clarity, and urgency that wasn't there before. Deadlines are a form of discipline. They turn hope into commitment. They separate the talkers from the doers. They don't just track your time, they shape your future. One of the biggest reasons people abandon their goals is not because they lack motivation or talent. It's because the goal feels too big, too distant, too overwhelming. They look at the final outcome and immediately freeze. The mountain looks too high, so they never take the first step. That's why the ability to break any goal into manageable steps is not just helpful, it's essential. Every large goal is just a collection of small, simple tasks done consistently. That's the truth. No one builds a business in a day. No one writes a book in one sitting, and no one loses 50 pounds overnight. Big achievements are the visible result of invisible daily disciplines. When you break a large goal into smaller steps, you reclaim your sense of control. You shrink the mountain into a staircase, and then you climb it one step at a time. This process starts with reverse engineering. Start with the end in mind. Ask yourself, well, what does success look like? Then work backward. What would need to happen just before that? And before that, keep going until you reach the very first action you can take today. What you're doing is creating a map. And once you have a map, the journey stops being guesswork. Let's take an example. Say your goal is to launch an online business in 6 months. That's a solid long-term goal, but it's not actionable by itself. So you break it down. First, decide what kind of business. Then research your market. Choose a product. Build a brand. Set up a website. Create an offer. Build an audience. Launch. Each of these is a step, and each step can be broken down further into smaller pieces. Daily tasks, checklists, action items. This principle applies to every area of life. If you want to run a marathon, you don't start with 26 miles. You start with 1 mile. You create a schedule. You train 4 times a week. You stretch. You rest. You follow a plan. Each run builds on the last. If your goal is to save $10,000, you don't panic about the full amount. You create a monthly savings plan. You automate a portion of your income. You cut unnecessary expenses. Every $100 saved is a step toward the goal. Breaking your goals into steps also protects your confidence. When a goal feels too big, it can trigger doubt and fear. But when you focus on just the next step, your mind relaxes. You can handle one task. You can handle one task. You can handle one phone call, one workout, one page, one conversation. And once that's done, you move to the next. Each completed step gives you a sense of progress, a psychological win that builds momentum. This approach also reveals gaps. When you lay out the steps, you can spot what skills you need to develop, what help you might need to seek, or what resources you're missing. You can build a timeline. You can assign priorities. You go from hoping things will fall into place to intentionally placing them where they need to be. Tracking those steps matters too. Keep a list. Use a planner, a journal, a digital system, whatever fits your style. The key is to see progress. Each step you check off builds belief. Each action you take confirms your commitment. You begin to trust yourself more, and that trust becomes fuel. This method also keeps you moving through obstacles. When one step feels stuck, you can shift your attention to another. You don't stall out because you always know the next thing to do. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep moving forward. One step, then the next, then the next, then the next. That rhythm of consistent action creates breakthroughs that never happen all at once, but always start with a clear first step. There's a secret that top performers in every field, from athletes and entrepreneurs to artists and leaders, use to achieve their goals faster, more effectively, and with greater consistency. It's not luck, it's not talent alone. It's the ability to see the result in their mind before it becomes real. This is the power of visualization and affirmation. Long before any great achievement becomes reality, It first exists in vivid detail within the mind. Visualization is the act of creating a clear, detailed mental picture of your goal as already completed. You see it, feel it, walk around in it, and believe in it before the world catches up. Affirmation is the process of repeating positive, goal-aligned statements to yourself that shape your thoughts, influence your behavior, and rewire your beliefs. These two tools work hand in hand. Visualization engages your imagination and emotion. Affirmation programs your belief system and self-image. Together, they align your conscious and subconscious mind in the direction of your goal. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. That's not a theory. That means every time you rehearse success in your mind, you are literally training your brain to perform at a higher level in reality. Elite athletes do this all the time. Before the game, before the fight, before the race, they see themselves winning. They mentally rehearse every move, every swing, every step. When the moment comes, it's not unfamiliar. It's already happened 1,000 times in their mind. The same applies to you. Whether your goal is to give a powerful speech, crush a sales presentation, run a successful business, or transform your body, the process is the same. See it clearly, feel it fully, and repeat it consistently. Visualization is most effective when it's vivid and emotional. Don't just picture the goal. Step into the scene. Close your eyes and imagine it in full detail. Where are you? What are you wearing? What does your environment look like? Who's around you? What sounds do you hear? What are you saying? What are you saying? What are others saying to you? Most importantly, what do you feel? Lost it. The emotional charge is what embeds the vision deeper into your subconscious. Visualization is not daydreaming. It's not idle fantasy. It's a mental rehearsal for reality. And like any rehearsal, the more detailed and consistent it is, the better the performance. Just a few minutes of daily visualization can make a measurable difference in your confidence, motivation, and decision-making. Now let's talk about affirmation. If visualization is seeing the goal, affirmation is speaking it into your identity. Your self-talk shapes your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your behavior. If you want to perform at a higher level, you must begin speaking like someone who operates at that level. Affirmations are not wishful thinking. They are declarations of intent and identity. You affirm who you are becoming, not just what you want. Instead of saying, I hope I can lose weight, you say, I am healthy, disciplined, and strong. Instead of saying, maybe I'll succeed, you say, I am a focused, capable, and results-driven individual. You're not lying to yourself. You're planting the mental seeds of the version of you who achieves the goal. At first, affirmations might feel awkward or untrue. That's normal. You're challenging years of negative or limiting self-talk. But repetition changes belief. The subconscious mind learns through repetition. Say it daily. Say it with emotion. Say it like you mean it. Over time, your mind starts to believe it, and your actions begin to align with that new belief. The language you use matters. Keep affirmations present tense, positive and personal. Don't say, I will be successful. That places success in the future. Say, I am successful now, and I act accordingly. That creates alignment in the present moment. An action only happens in the present. One powerful strategy is to combine both tools into a morning ritual. Spend 5 minutes every morning visualizing your ideal life and 5 minutes repeating affirmations that reflect that vision. You're not just waking up your body. You're waking up your body. You're waking up your identity. You're programming your mind to expect success, to act with confidence, and to stay focused on what matters most. Let's break down an example. Imagine your goal is to become a top-performing real estate agent. Your visualization might include walking into your office confidently, meeting clients who are excited to work with you, closing deals smoothly, seeing your name at the top of the sales board, and feeling a sense of pride and momentum. You picture every moment of that reality. But it has to start with action, not the other way around. Most people reverse it. They wait to feel good before they begin. But high achievers understand that action leads and emotion follows. Daily action also sharpens focus. When you commit to doing something every day, you train your mind to prioritize. You begin asking better questions. But what is the most important thing I can do today to move closer to my goal? Instead of reacting to every distraction, You become intentional with your time. You eliminate the non-essential. You stop being busy and start being effective. This habit also builds resilience. Taking action daily develops mental toughness. It teaches you to follow through even when life throws curveballs. You'll learn how to work when you're tired, how to stay committed when the excitement fades, how to keep going when results are slow. This kind of grit is not something you're born with. It's something you build through repetition. And there's a powerful psychological shift that happens when you take action consistently. You stop doubting yourself. Every time you act, you prove to yourself that you're serious. You gain evidence that you can be trusted with your own goals. That evidence builds belief. And belief creates unstoppable drive. You're no longer hoping you'll succeed. You know it because you're working for it every day. One of the most powerful tools for sustaining daily action is creating a routine. When a task becomes part of your daily rhythm, it stops requiring willpower. It becomes automatic. Just like brushing your teeth or tying your shoes, the behavior becomes embedded in your identity. That's the level you want to reach. You want your goals to become habits, not one-time efforts, but daily rituals. Another key is to track your actions. Use a calendar, a checklist, a habit tracker, whatever system works for you. Seeing a visual record of your consistency creates accountability. It also reinforces momentum. When you see a streak, 10 days, 20 days, 50 days, it motivates you to keep going. You don't want to break the chain. That visual reinforcement turns discipline into a game you want to win. This approach also breaks down mental barriers. Big goals often trigger fear, doubt, and procrastination. But when you take one small action daily, the fear shrinks. You realize the goal isn't as intimidating as it seemed. You build confidence one action at a time. The more you do, the more you believe. And the more you believe, the more you do. That upward spiral starts with a single step repeated daily. Daily action creates results through the principle of compounding. Just like money grows in a bank account when compounded over time, so do your skills, your habits, and your results. One workout won't change your body, but 100 workouts will. One sales call won't build your business, but 1,000 will. Most people underestimate what they can do in a year of daily action, and they overestimate what they can do in a week of occasional effort. The other advantage of daily action is how it rewires your identity. You start to see yourself as the kind of person who follows through. You shift from a trying to doing, from wishing to working. That mental shift is powerful because identity drives behavior. Once you believe you are someone who takes action daily, you begin to naturally filter your choices through that lens. You ask, what would someone like me do today? And then you do it. To make this principle stick, anchor your actions to a specific time or trigger. Every morning at 7 a.m., I write for 30 minutes. After lunch, I do 15 minutes of outreach. Before bed, I review my goals and log my progress. By tying your action to a specific moment in your day, you remove the uncertainty. It becomes a scheduled priority, not a vague intention. It also helps to keep your daily actions visible. Write them on a whiteboard, post them on your mirror, put them in your planner. When your action steps are out of sight, they're out of mind. But when they're in front of you, they demand attention. They remind you of who you are and what you're building. Finally, simplify the process. Don't overload your day with 20 tasks. Focus on the vital few, the 1 to 3 actions that make the biggest difference. This is the Pareto principle in action. 20% of your actions create 80% of your results. Identify those 20%. Then do them every single day. Block time. Eliminate distractions. Protect your focus like your future depends on it. Because it does.